Three, two, one. Anthony Darby. I'm here with Ron Millward, Balanced Veterans Network. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Glad to be here.
You look good. You're one of the few people that I actually follow on social media and am intimately kind of checking the what's this guy up to and what's going on. I I've always appreciated the realness in your journey and the transparency in which you operate. You're one of the most genuine dudes that I know. And I thank you for taking some time with me today.
Brother, that means the world. And really, it's a mirror because I'm watching you and I'm super inspired by everything you do. And early on, man, you supported us. You believed in what we were doing. And so I'm grateful to be sitting here having this conversation.
Teresa Savoda was kind enough to link us together. I had one of one of the most amazing days on Veterans Day that I'd ever had. I the Veterans Day before that, I went to one of our patients who has extreme PTSD, and maybe the only place that he may go in a week is our dispensary. And I went to his house and just sat on his couch with him, and we all had our, since it's Maryland, we had our individual medicines and medicated together, and it was really a connected moment for me. But I had a lot more fun with you guys the next the next year. I remember once again we were privately medicating, but I was asked if I wanted to go hit a dab, and I said, yeah, of course, which I very often don't say no to. And next thing I know, there's a camping torch lighting the dab ring, and I immediately realized that I was with some manly men and no longer smoking weed with, some pretty boys.
Yeah, we don't fuck around.
No, you did not. I didn't even know you could do that.
That's funny.
So yeah, so we I think that was that 19? I mean, it's been,
Yeah, I think it was 19. It's been a little bit.
It had to be pre-COVID.
Yeah, it definitely was.
So it doesn't seem like we've known each other for 3 years, so
Wow, man.
it has.
Yeah.
So let's start with some of the growth that you've experienced at Balanced Veterans Network. We just talked a little about how you've changed some of your focus. So maybe start with that, and then start with your focus change, and then start with how you guys have grown geographically from starting in Philly.
Yeah, Balanced Veterans has really, it's evolved a lot. We actually are calling ourselves the Balanced Veterans Network now. We ended up officially merging with an organization out of Chicago, Illinois called Operation 1620. And their executive director, Caleb Masoner, came onto our team. And so now we're all kind of leading it together. And really, it's, it seems like, oh, great, lots more resources, lots more things. But in reality, I mean, if anybody that's leading a nonprofit knows the grind, it is incredibly difficult. And so while, we had a couple of people come over from their team and we're able to work together to help more people, it has been really difficult. Lots of paperwork, lots of the little red tape you got to get through just to be legitimate and compliant with the government. And so it's been a huge challenge. So we had about a 6 month to a year of just kind of getting everything squared away, a lot of big growth there, and then really focusing on leadership development. We've had some incredible, and I want to make sure I say this, every single person on our team is volunteer. So this blows my mind even more. We've had some just incredible leaders come on board and just help us sort of structure some things out, our standard operating procedures, just get a little bit more tight and cohesive to be able to care for the community. Because what I realized early on was we're passionate. We've got that. We had the grit, the grind. We're out at all these events. We're meeting tons and tons of people, but really being able to genuinely care for that pool of people, that community of people that are coming in was super important. And so we're really working on that health and that structure. And so with that, we birthed our digital community. And so outside of social media, we developed a private community where we've got tons of education around everything. We've got all things cannabis, everything from Cannabis to cultivating your own and that whole process for states that are legally able to do that. And then we've got everything for our mental wellness initiative and our movement initiative. And so just education on different things like yoga, breathing, meditation, basic fitness, essential oils, equine therapy, beekeeping, all of the different, there are just so many different modalities, different tools out there. And we wanted to have a place where they could all sort of some of the education could be sourced in one area for people to kind of find something that might work for them, or, you know, experience something they had never tried before. So we spent a ton of time developing that out, building a lot of content for back there, and we're excited. So it has sort of changed quite a bit from when we were just showing up to events with, you know, some trifolds and and spreading the word, to actually being able to not just get veterans their medical marijuana cards in 12 states, and not just connect them to resource, but to actually be able to care for them and their families. And that's what we've wanted all along. That was the mission from the beginning. It has just taken time to structure and build that out. So we're finally there, you know, 4 years and some change in, and I feel like we're starting to hit a nice stride, and that community is growing, and it's very, very healthy, and we're proud of that.
That evolution rings home to me. You know, we started our dispensary in a little 2,000 square foot shoebox, and I had all these huge aspirations of helping my community and using cannabis as a tool to heal so much. And you know, I kind of stumbled a little bit, because what I realized was, unfortunately, cannabis is a tool like lots of other tools that you have in your arsenal of mental health and wellness. But if it's not balanced with movement, if it's not balanced with other aspects of mental health and physical health, it's not going to get you where you want to go. And for me to create the quality health outcomes that I was really trying to create here at Peninsula Alternative Health, I had to build a wellness model, and that's why I built our campus. We have yoga, we have MMA fighters that come in for training, we have lunch and learns, all these different um, aspects of wellness right at the hands of our patients, because you're not going to heal the world with cannabis. Like I think a lot of us have these aspirations, and really try maybe put over an emphasis on an amazing plant, because it is so amazing, and it does have so many, pardon me, therapeutic properties. Um, but it's just like a piece of the puzzle in my mind, for me.
And you went right into it, and I'm glad that you did, because, you know, it's been 4 years and some change, and we see some of the same people with the same problems 4 years later. And what's the variable? It's not introducing anything new. It's not trying something different. It's not figuring out what you actually need to be able to move forward. Because really, like cannabis, it has been instrumental in my life. It has been an incredible tool, but it didn't heal me. It brought me to myself to be able to figure out what I needed to do to be able to find the modalities to start to begin my healing journey. And so I'm glad you said that. That is, you know, balanced veterans, where there's balance in all things. We need it. And I believe that, especially with cannabis, it's having that healthy relationship with that, and being able to find what works best for your body. And so even understanding terpenes and all of the cannabinoids and how your body actually interacts with that. You know, we're not looking for the highest THC content and the biggest buzz and the coolest branding and all of that. While all of that is great, there is so much benefit in really learning this plant and how it can help you. And CBD is so underrated. Oh my goodness.
We have an endocannabinoid system, right? It's something that needs to get regulated. And how do you regulate something if you just flood it with high THC and one
Right.
single cannabinoid? And you know, we have separate protocols when people come in with PTSD, or people come in with very high anxiety. And those protocols are to limit THC introduction in the very beginning. Like, never will someone come in my dispensary, admit they have PTSD, and then someone offer them RSO or some crazy sativa, or something that is going to give them triggering responses, nightmare dreams, increase their anxiety. You know, these are things that we're going to avoid. And it's unfortunate, because quite honestly, you could be a veteran, talk to your boy who's going cookies this, cookies that, walk into a dispensary, end up getting something that's going to give you a horrible experience. And that's really taken away from the medicine. And like, I'm not a hater on branding, and I understand that you got to have some flair, but I don't want to get away from what we came to do here. And we're still a medical state in Maryland, as long as we still are, and even when we're not, I'm not getting rid of the wellness tool. Like, for me, I've been on record to say, when adult use comes, it's not all of a sudden going to be a free for all. It's just going to be, when Nana's sciatica starts flaring up, she doesn't have to go see some doctor, wait 6 weeks for a card. She can walk into my dispensary and get a topical, or get a gummy, or get some method of administration that's going to help her back out, maybe better so than a pill from a pharmacy.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I'm glad that you said that. And really, I think that that's actually, that's it. I mean, recreational is just the access. It's a barrier of access that's broken down, and more people can try this and see that it does help in a lot of ways. And there's just so much, we say it all the time, there's just so much education that has to happen. There really is.
Yeah. Um, it's exciting time. One of the things that I'm very excited about is that when we first got into this, there wasn't a ton of opportunities in the Mid-Atlantic region. Um, and a lot of it was you gotta go to Colorado or you have to go to California, but like we're sitting in an amazing time for the Mid-Atlantic, and like, and veterans and patients and cannabis users should be excited because Maryland's getting ready to go adult use. I think PA is going to go adult use soon. New Jersey's adult use. New York's adult use. Delaware, we'll see what they do. Virginia's going to have adult use. You're going to have a very near future where this access to cannabis is going to be much more readily available right here in our home, and access to like therapeutic products, like high quality products, not just like if you're getting relief by just buying bags of weed off the street, wait till you see lab results and start matching terpenes and minor cannabinoids like CBN. I've been using a CBN chocolate at night. It's just 10 milligrams, but like,
Yes,
oh my
fantastic.
gosh, it's great.
Yeah, big fan.
So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Mid-Atlantic cannabis users to really get way more sophisticated in how they medicate and how they're using cannabis, and that's something I'm super excited about. Balanced Veterans Group started out of Pennsylvania, right? I mean, that's where
Yeah,
you're.
right
And
out of
what?
Pennsylvania.
And would you say now with your merger, you guys are? I mean, you guys are nationwide. Are you still mostly East Coast focused and like Mid-Atlantic focused, or mid? What's that middle country called?
Who knows? Just kidding. No, I was, man, I'm learning a ton. I'm young. I have never been in this position before. I feel like in a lot of ways we're pioneering stuff, and it has been confusing. We've asked a lot of questions. I've got a mentor that's been helping me. He's been in the game for a long time, and I learned a ton. I realized that a lot of these groups that are, even receiving donations are not necessarily fully compliant nonprofits. And I didn't realize how much paperwork went into everything. We had to get our finances audited. We had to make sure we were compliant in the states. And so while we have members in our organization from probably every state in the nation, even non-legal states right now, asking questions, wanting to understand, wanting to learn, we are only registered in 4 states. So we're in Pennsylvania, we're in Illinois, we're in Arizona, and we're in New Jersey. And so there are 14 states in the United States that you do not have to register as a charity in to do operations. And so we'll continue to support and operate in those states. But for our actual physical presence, those are the states that we're in. We'll be in DC this in a couple weeks for the National Cannabis Festival. And so working with IAVA and some other folks just to provide a veteran space.
That's really awesome. Now that we have a second location in DC, our general manager will be out there handing out T-shirts and flyers and promoting. So
that's awesome. Please come by the Veterans Lounge. Yeah, we've got programming all day. It'll be awesome.
So I think that's a decent. I don't want to skip this because you mentioned it like 2 times so far, and I see a lot of cannabis advocates. They have the passion, but they don't have the organization. And a lot of times they're accepting donations before they should actually be accepting donations, and they're not always on the up and up. And it's kind of just like some of the dispensaries that I see. I mean, we've operated at a heavy level of compliance since day one. It's always been very important to me that we pay 280 taxes properly, that when the MMCC comes in to inspect my facility, they walk out smiling, we walk out smiling, and everything is always on the up and up. And we need that credibility. We need good actors that are doing things a responsible way. But I can't tell you how many more hours are added in my work week because we do things a responsible way or because we do them right. And like, it can come off as disheartening sometimes when you see other folks out there with a cool logo and Instagram page, but you know that they're not, doing things the right way. So I applaud you guys, because the one thing that I've realized is it's about the long game, right? You're not just trying to do this for 2022. This is something that you're hoping that, you know, people are passing the torch down year after year, and you building them a good foundation and leaving them a clean house to operate is the most important legacy thing that a leader can do. And I know that whatever happens to, you know, me at PAH, we've built up an amazing business and a very clean business, and something that all my employees and teammates can feel proud of. And I, you know, I applaud you for that, because it's not the easy way out. It's not.
No, man, thank you for saying that. And really, you nailed it. This is the long game. Like, we want to genuinely make a difference in this community. We want to disrupt the suicide epidemic, and we really want to try and save lives. And I know that we are, and I believe that the more structure that we can bring, it's not only to be compliant with the government, but it is difficult, especially as volunteers. Like, the more structure that we have, it gets a little bit easier. We've got systems and automations, and, you know, we follow a game plan, and it's just gotten a little easier than in the very beginning, when we're like, all right, what do we do to just get in anywhere, go anywhere? Now we're being selective. We're setting boundaries. We're working with other legitimate organizations and people that we believe are doing a good thing. And at the end of the day, this is not mine. This is not anyone on our teams. We're board driven. We're a community of veterans leading and making the decisions for what we're doing. And I love it. I hate following individuals. I love when there's collectives of people making decisions, and we're doing what's best for the greater good. And I just think it's awesome. I'm really proud of our team, and thank you for saying that, man. Appreciate it.
So at the core of a balanced veteran network, I know how much you guys do on the personal level of helping individuals that are trying to, let's say, find their way. Do you guys do any business advisory services? Like, do you guys have, you know, I mentioned before we started recording, you know, I'm working with some combat veterans who, I didn't even realize this, but I guess if you do a certain number of tours and spend enough time in combat, you come back rated as PTSD, like, no matter what, or disabled. I guess you get a disabled status. And so I'm learning a lot. You know, you guys had mentioned the terminology that I'll never forget, was the cocktail that you get when you come back. And like,
Combat cocktail.
I almost always get instant credibility when I start talking to these guys. I was like, oh, was your experience this? And it's so many folks that have the same experience. So these gentlemen that I'm working with, they absolutely, they just exude passion. This gentleman, Freddie, I don't think he's told his story a lot. I can't imagine he would mind me telling it, but honestly, I mean, he was barely able to function before cannabis, and now he's gotten a degree in construction management. He's starting businesses, and now he's applying for his cannabis license, and he's so much more of a productive individual for his community and his family, and he feels so much more confident in his life. And cannabis, you know, it was a big, yes, he works out, yes, he does things, but cannabis was kind of the catalyst to get him past that. But he doesn't have years of operating experience of businesses, especially in the cannabis space. He doesn't have access to millions of dollars of capital, which is often needed to do some of these larger plans. So a lot of these guys, although they have amazing hearts and good intentions and are incredibly capable people, they still need networks of veterans. And I'm wondering, do you guys get into that, or is that just like a different ball game?
Man, that's a really, really great question. Really great discussion, because I mean, that's what it's all about, really, is to see somebody go from that combat cocktail to a thriving business leader. I mean, I look at myself and I look at our team, and really it's a similar story. It's folks that have been able to find that drive. And so I'm not trying to negate that question. Definitely. And I think that I was having a conversation with my friend yesterday, Leo Bridgewater, who is also going to be on a panel with me in DC at the National Cannabis Festival. And that's what our panel is all about. It's about folks that have found these modalities, have found cannabis, and they're thriving. They've learned to use this as a tool to be able to go to college. I'm in school full time. Like, there are folks that are able to use these to really help improve their lives. As far as the organizations that are helping, there are some really, really great. And again, I needed the help. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Where are these resources to help? Like, how do you write a business plan? How do you do XYZ? Like, there were a lot of questions that I had to learn over the last few years. And there are a few organizations that I'd like to mention that are incredible. They're veteran. One of them is called Veterati, and they do sort of one-on-one mentorship for any sort of business that you're looking to get into. They have like creative side, they've got just regular business, all kinds of different avenues, and then Stand Beside Them. And that's another one where they pair you directly with a mentor that's been where you are, or, you know, has had a successful business, and they can just sort of meet with you regularly. I meet with my mentor every other week, and we just kind of go over the business plan. We'll go over like ideas, structure. And so it's really helpful. But, you know, there's not a ton of conversation around that in the cannabis space. And I do believe that, I mean, in our community, we've got business leaders and folks that work for dispensaries and folks that are working with large MSOs. We've got literally a full spectrum of folks, people that are cultivating and working on, you know, plant touching jobs. And so really, it's a great place to ask questions. And if they want to, you know, plug in and ask folks in there, I'm sure they get some sort of an answer or direction. There are a lot of different grants, not necessarily for the cannabis side, but I know for hemp and agriculture and things like that. So things are ever evolving. We know that the MORE Act just passed the House, hopefully praying that it would potentially pass, but I highly doubt it. And it's really not even that great of a bill, to be honest with you. But, you know, I still think it's just hope to show like we need some change. We need people to understand that there are people thriving in this community. It should be viewed as a regular business. Banking needs to get on board. What's going on?
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be negative, but sometimes you have a bill that's going to pass, and so it's messaging. And to your point, it's important. It's a message. It sends a message that one side of the federal government is willing to make these commitments and push the needle forward, where the other side of the government, which seems to be like, you know, the good old boy club in the Senate, they have no intentions of passing anything through. I'm lucky enough to serve on the National Medical Cannabis Coalition, and you know, these guys are meeting with the aides and the powers to be in DC. We pay them literally just to go there and make sure that we have the most up-to-date information, and it's so it's not disheartening. It is what it is, right? Like, we don't control these things. Like, you and I are blessed. We're still doing our thing despite whatever the federal government is going to do. But, you know, you're literally 2 senators away. If 2 people would jump the aisle and come on and say, I'll vote for this, there could be monumental change in the cannabis space in the United States of America. And it's amazing that 2 people have that much power over the people to be able to do that. I'm being told that it's not likely this year that anything gets through. Safe banking would be the only thing that would have a snowball's chance of getting through. But I honestly think we're within 2 years out. I think that you get in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, some of these more conservative states are getting state programs, and all of a sudden their constituents, which is how it's supposed to work, are going to be knocking on doors saying, hey, you know, I am conservative, but I also have a cannabis license and I need a bank to use. Like, I am this, but I also need these things. And all of a sudden, the great thing about cannabis is it is a bipartisan thing. There are some very conservative, I want to wear a Trump t-shirt, I still smoke weed. And then there's also people that are wrapped in a rainbow flag that the name Trump gives them goosebumps and they like to smoke weed.
Yeah.
So we
a great unifier.
Our dispensary is the only dispensary within about 25 miles. So I have an incredibly eclectic patient group. And during November, dude, I'm telling you, the red hats, the blue hats, I mean, my waiting room was like a hot box. And all I could think of was like, they don't get it. Like, when I say they, like, the senators in the House, the people in the House, they don't realize how much cannabis transpires and affects and is, people are digging it. Like, Maryland's going to have it on the ballot this year for referendum in November. I bet it's 71% or higher. You know what I mean? It's not even going to be close.
Yeah.
people in Maryland love cannabis, and if they don't love it, they don't hate it. They don't see it as Nancy Reagan's "this is your brain on drug" anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because we've gone and been good actors in Maryland for the last 2 years and proven that a medical program was the right move. So these things all have a way of evolving. I would hope that when we go to the federal government and we say, okay, do you care about veterans? Yes. Okay, well, here's not only economic opportunities for veterans, because they're going to be a minority classification, they're going to have prioritization over just a random white guy. Here's the mental health opportunities for the country. Here's the economic opportunities for the country. Here's the criminal justice opportunities for the country. And finally, there'll be enough individual self-interest that, they'll come together and be able to outbid big tobacco, big alcohol, big pharma.
Yeah, and I want to protect my words because I don't want to talk too much trash on our government, but it is frustrating. And I do believe that people are aligning their investments properly at this point. And once things are aligned, then we'll move the ball. But what I think is really impressive about this is there's the war on drugs, the racial disparity language. Like, if you are not going to vote for this, then you clearly are okay with what has happened. And I think now it's time to start calling people out and say it is. Like, there's been so much damage that has been done, and it's time for change. It's time for people to get their lives back. So yeah, it's interesting. It's frustrating. We get, both sides, we had vets all day when they saw it pass the House. They're like, the VA is going to be able to prescribe me cannabis now. And I'm like, that's not how this works.
But it should.
It should.
But it should.
Right. But it's like, I'm like, there's a long way to go. And folks that are that passionate and you're excited about it, plug into any veteran nonprofit that's legitimately doing advocacy work, because they need your help. Like, we need to be speaking out. And what you just said, that plan to show people that are in legitimate businesses, there are veterans operating in the cannabis space very successfully, doing amazing things. And I think we've got those stories. We've got the history. I look at my friend Aaron Newsom with Santa Cruz Veterans Alliance. He's one of the first in the country, one of the only I know doing like amazing things, cultivating cannabis. And so there's so many possibilities. And I believe that we deserve that. All people deserve that. But for veterans, man, I've gotten to walk into a veteran in a legal state that can cultivate and them show me their home grow and light the fuck up.
Yeah.
I have never seen anything like it. And it's like, that is so therapeutic to have somebody be able to go into their garden, to be able to take some time, mental wellness, working on that plant, cultivating that with love, and then utilizing that, consuming that in a way that helps heal you and find yourself. Man, it's beautiful. There's nothing more special than that. And I believe that we need more veterans in the cannabis space, in business, and helping make some of these decisions.
Yeah, I do too. And I'm passionate about making sure that I'm doing my part. And if I'm gonna be able to work with folks and help people get this ability to achieve their dream of opening up a dispensary or a grow or a manufacturing facility, like, the veterans are really what I've dedicated a good chunk of my time to, not just in New Jersey, but there's gonna be more opportunities for veterans in the state of Virginia, state of New York, a lot. I mean, just if you want to get into cannabis, now is the time. There's more and more of, it's interesting. I'm kind of past talking bad about MSOs and multi-state operators because everyone's going to be an MSO. So this is the evolution. If you want to fight that fight, you can, but I'm gonna look at the positives that come from MSOs, which is better organization, more structure, more therapeutic products, more dollars and cents for research and development, and to be able to move the needle in the federal government. So but with those MSOs growing, they're cleaning up their organizations. They're hiring accountants. They're hiring manufacturing workers. They're hiring cultivation workers. There are now decent paying jobs in the cannabis space like there never were before. There's no
Oh my
longer
God,
like,
so many. And non-plant touching. You could hate cannabis and get a killer job in the cannabis space.
yes, especially with your veteran background. If you have logistics, if you have security, if you have just just good processes and procedures minded person and can follow rules in a highly regulated industry, to your point, you don't want to touch cannabis. You can still make a whole lot of money doing whatever it is you are now, but applying that to a cannabis specific company.
Yeah,
So
and I'm glad you said that. We take a lot of fire for accepting and receiving support from MSOs. And I'll tell you what, the traditional market, the regular donors, we're not being supported enough. And we would never survive without the support and help of some of these MSOs that genuinely, they're people. It's not just a name. There are people there that care about other people, and we build those relationships and we find the best ways to actually support veterans. So I'm incredibly grateful. While I do see that I believe that we need to allow all people into the market and let there be competition, let there be, fair access for folks to be able to start their own business if they want. But like you said, the MSOs, they've got the money, they've got the organization, they've got the structure. It takes so much to run a team and to build a brand. So I think that it's never going to go away.
Yeah. And cannabis is so difficult. People and this isn't like, I'm not whining, but people don't understand how much different operating a business that's federally illegal is and what the burdens you put on yourself. Can't go get a mortgage for a house. You can't go. Sometimes my employees struggle making purchases like on vehicles and houses, depending upon what level of scrutiny the underwriters do.
And in any day, everything could just be done. They could take everything away from you. It's crazy. It's not fair.
I signed paperwork that says until the day we close our business, I'm subject to a personal warrantless search, a business warrantless search. There's nothing stopping them from coming in today and throwing a lock on my door, other than my faith that the federal government is not going to mess with legitimate medical cannabis operators.
And your character, man. You've built a beautiful culture, community where you're at. And I think people see that and they support you.
I appreciate that, man. Is there anything else we wanted to dive into? Any projects that you guys have on the horizon? How, if someone wants to kick a donation or contribution your way, how do they do that?
Yeah, that means a lot. Really, we've got really excited to announce we've got a new app that's going to be available on Android and Apple that will be dropping around mid-June. So we're wrapping up the details on that. Really excited. So that will bring all of our services and all of that education that I was talking about into an app form. And yeah, just encouraging any veteran that's listening to this and wants to plug in, learn more about any sort of alternative therapies, different modalities, just check out our website, balancedveterans.com or bvn.vet. Join the community, jump into the conversation. Yeah, we're here, and it's ever evolving. We've got incredible leaders coming from all over that have great ideas, and we're willing to just support and move in any direction that we think is going to benefit and support the local community. We've got a $2 trillion VA infrastructure bill was just passed, where they are tearing down a bunch of older VAs and they're rebuilding. But within that, there's already poor access to care for a lot of people. And so now more than ever, our organizations and other veteran organizations are going to be necessary just to help bridge that gap in care. And as you know, we've got conflicts, we've got more veterans being created every single day. We've got lots of troops that are getting out of the military. We've got lots of family members. And so another focus of ours this year is to really strengthen our family and caregiver support. So there's a place for anybody that wants to get involved and yeah, just to be a part of the conversation.
I have a question. I'm not putting you on the spot.
Put me on the spot, bro.
Watching our healthcare system, which is very reactive, right? It was pretty much like, don't worry about taking care of yourself. Like once your arteries are clogged, we'll blast them out and we'll do this. And like, if you have diabetes, we got insulin, don't worry about it. Like everything's cool. We always talk about like helping veterans and we realize the stress and the conditions that we're putting on these folks. Is there any like pre-enrollment work that's being done? Is anyone grabbing an 18-year-old man and saying, hey, you're getting ready to go through X, Y, and Z, and let me give you some coping tools before you even face them, as opposed to trying to fix you after you're broken? And not broken, but you know what I mean.
I totally get what you mean. And a lot of times healthcare is sick care, and that starts really with the individual. I want to shout out another amazing organization, Hunter 7 Foundation. They are doing a ton of work in just researching a lot of the environmental impacts, a lot of the just everything that happens in the service and how that affects you after. But, you know, even before, that's a great question. I don't know of anybody that is doing that sort of pre-data beforehand, like here's some preventative care. I know that we have a ton of training in the military that sort of prepares you for that, but it's, again,
Like,
it's not that preventative maintenance.
like it would be cool if in JRTC programs, like they're getting like mental health like put into
Right.
there at that point and saying, hey, if we think that you have potential to be an officer and you're on this track, like here's some things that are going to be really helpful for you to be not just a good leader, but also for you to keep your head on your shoulders as you're going through these extenuating circumstances. I mean, I can't even imagine being away from my family if you sent me to Tahiti for 2 months, let alone having to just kiss my wife and kids. Like I always get, I don't get it.
It's heavy, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, they tried to create some like reintegration training and things like that when people get back. It's really tough, you know. And I look at my own story, I look at other people in our community and just people's transition and the process, and it's so different for everybody. And it's really coming to the realization of like what you need and understanding like what you individually need to come back or to feel better or to feel normal, or you know. It takes, for me, it takes so many different things. That was really what this org was all about. It was having to learn a little bit about massage and body work and working out and essential oils and eating healthy and the way that you literally create your own health from the inside. And like it is, when you look at it, when you look at, hey, I want to be a healthy person, it's so overwhelming. It's like, man, everything was stacked against us. Everything, all of the food that we eat is killing us, everything, and it's marketed to be good. And so it's like you really have to look for it. You have to want it for yourself, and it's not easy. And a lot of the folks that will, but it's also not easy to be sick and tired and miserable. And so you really just pick your heart. It's like, do you want to
You choose your
thrive?
hard. That's what I always say. Choose your hard.
Yeah, like
Like,
thrive and be a better, more productive member of society, or just succumb to the system, be a pleasure seeking consumer. And like that's okay. There's lots of majority of folks are that, but try to want better for yourself
I
and
agree. I mean,
find things that help.
waking up at 5 a.m. to go to yoga this morning was a little hard. Like it's not
Yeah.
easier than sleeping in bed, but you know, being limber and getting the movement and getting my mind straight and doing all those things makes my day that much easier. And I just like, to your point, like choose your hard is something that I think about very often. I saw that meme that everyone else probably saw. It was like marriage is hard, divorce is hard, like
Yeah.
eating healthy is hard, being overweight is hard. Like what, well, you know, what hard do you want? And I think it can be overwhelming, but it can also be fun. It can be
Yeah.
like a journey, right? So like,
Yes.
you know, I've tried sound baths. I've tried all
Love
these crazy things. The newest one is there's a new cryo chamber that just opened up in Salisbury. So I'm getting ready to go hop in there for, I don't even know how long you hop in there, but it's $65. And I said, hey, I'm going to
Bro,
try
then
it.
from there you get in the cold showers every day. It just doesn't
Woo!
stop, man. It's incredible. It
So,
lights you up.
so like, you know, for me, it's like, I'll kind of hop on different fads and, you know, some things are my staples, but I'm curious, have you come across like any new things, maybe breath work or like what's the newest kind of revelation you've had or something that you've tried to add into your routine?
Yeah, well, you know, breath work has been huge for me. I have incorporated hot and cold therapy, like I'm talking daily. So I'll be in the sauna for 15 to 30 minutes, and then I'll take a 5-minute cold shower after my workout and shower, that sort of thing. And so that's really helped me a lot. I've got some like nerve damage in my leg and my back, and I've just felt just a little better, a little more relief, a little ease, inflammation drop. But there are just so many things out there. I also, you know, that was why so every cannabis event that we go to, or we try to, the Pennsylvania Cannabis Festival and the DC Cannabis Festival this year, at the end of this month, we'll have wellness classes. So we've got an intro to sound bath meditation. We've got an intro to yoga, an intro to breathing, so that people can just come and be like, all right, that sucked. I never want to do that again. Or, you know what? I feel
Yeah.
different. Like my state of being changed, and maybe I'll try this again. And so really that's all it is. It's just like trying something and realizing that maybe that made you feel a little bit better. It changed your state of energy. But I really got into working out, and was actually accepted to this health and personal training certification program. And so next month I'll be away for 3 weeks in that. And I've just like fallen in love with the way that really exercise is like no other antidepressant on the planet. And I realize it, like when I don't work out, I'm like, man, why am I miserable? And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't move today. I didn't do something to like get my blood flowing. And so really incorporating any kind of movement, it doesn't need to be strength training or crazy. Just get up, walk your dog, or go for a walk, or ground yourself. Like, it does not need to be much, but movement is, man, it's crucial.
Yeah, I think for me, that's like the one staple that hasn't changed. Like it's probably been almost 2 years now where I don't go more than 2 or 3 days without getting a workout in. I do strength training, I do yoga, started playing lacrosse again, that's been
Nice.
so amazing. Just getting back on the field. Um,
That's fun.
and yeah, I just took a job coaching a club program at University of Maryland Eastern Shore, which is the HBCU.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they're gonna compete against other HBCUs. Um,
That's
in like
really
a
cool.
yeah, it's so cool. So just like, and I wouldn't have had that honestly. There's no way I would have had the opportunity if I wouldn't have started working out. Because I took probably a 5 year hiatus from playing lacrosse and thought that I played goalie. So like, there's no faking it. People are gonna throw a ball at you 100 miles an hour, whether you're cool with it or not. And I just at 35, I was like, I'm just too old to be doing this anymore. I wasn't too old. I was just too out of shape.
Yeah,
So after about
never
a
too
year,
old.
yeah, after about a year of working out, my body got in shape. I was like, I'm gonna start playing lacrosse again. Started reconnecting with some folks, and then all of a sudden, this opportunity presented itself. So, a lot of these things, it's you do something and it leads to something better. It leads to something better. Like, you started working out. Now you're going to get the certification. I assume that certification will allow you to help others on their weight loss journey or their wellness journey. It's not just weight loss. It's not just working out, but you do, when you look in the mirror and you look healthy, there is something that's mentally triggering that makes you feel better about your day. And like, I know that like, when I get that workout in the morning, there's almost just some sense of accomplishment, like making your bed. Like, well, if nothing else, like I did my things that I could control of myself. I can't control that this person was mean to me or traffic happened or the event was canceled, but I could control that I took 60 minutes and dedicated it to making sure that my body is in good shape and that I'm doing the best opportunity that I can to live a long, healthy life and just doing your part. You can't
Yeah,
control everything, but the things that you can control, you should be on it.
no doubt. And I don't mean to go down the vulnerable side again, but I fucking hated myself, man. You know, like there was trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. And I just got to the state where like I was just kind of floating through life, taking pharmaceuticals, got fat, consumer, eating everything, just really, really, really unhealthy. And I read this thing the other day that, it's just that, again, another like Instagram meme, but it was like your physical representation is a direct reflection of how you feel about yourself, you know? And I was like, man, it's so true. Like I did not like myself and I abused myself in ways. And now it's like, I want to try to have this body last as long as I can. It's an amazing machine. And we just need to be proud of ourselves for being as capable as we are. And little by little, I'm like, all right, I'll walk past the mirror. I'm like, all right, I don't hate myself as much, or I'm feeling a
Yeah.
little bit better. Oh shit. Okay. I
Yeah.
got some definition again. So it's like, I fell in love with that again. And in return, it's helping me kind of find myself. And I get to see it for so many, man. There's so many folks that are, this community. It is what you just said. It's the business leader that found cannabis and they're now thriving in their communities. Like that's what Balanced is all about. We've got so
Right.
many folks living their lives. It's a brand, it's a lifestyle, and just breaking the stigma in every way and showing other veterans how to live a healthy life. It's beautiful.
That's awesome, man. Well, I know that our paths are going to continue to cross in the future, and I hope you will think of me for projects in the future, and I'm going to continue to make sure I can match as many folks that could utilize your services to your network. Thank you for what you do, man. I know that it's not always easy. We talk about choose your hard. You've chosen the hard of starting a nonprofit, of supporting veterans, to try to be an example for what you we both. I think one thing we share in common is we both had to pick how we wanted to be perceived by others and ourselves, and had to make some changes to get there. Um,
Absolutely.
and when we made those changes, the gratification from those changes was significant enough that we wanted to be evangelists for our process. And we're both here, telling folks that there is a way. It's always hard, but this hard is a much better option than the hard that you may be experiencing today. So thanks for your time, man. I always appreciate it. We'll catch up soon.
Man, absolutely. Thank you. This was an honor. Appreciate you, brother.
Awesome, man.